सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणस्त्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्. So here he says in the next verse, 20th verse, अजादस्यैव भावस्य जातिमिच्छन्ति वादिनः अजातो ह्यमृतो भावः भावम alle bhavam in your this thing, here it is bhavo. When you chant it is bhavo, but when you break it, it will become bhavam. Aja amurdo bhavam martyadam kathameshyati. So, before we saw, they are saying that the unborn has taken birth. Isn't it? 19th verse is that unborn, the Dvaidins are finding multiplicity not only in the world but even in the one non-dual Brahman. There also they find multiplicity because they have got a konganna. The eye is not all right for them. Their drishti is not all right. Wherever they look, they see only Dvaidam. So, and here he says, and this ajadasyaiva bhavasya, that atma bhava which is ajadam, which is unborn, ajaha, aja means not born, bhavasya jadam ichchandi vadinaha, these vadis, Dvaidavadis, they are wishing for as the wishes as though they want to give janmam to the unborn. You know, that it is born, they are saying. Ajadi jadim ichchadi. Some commentators, some Dvaida philosophers are saying the one that is unborn has got janmam. Janmam ichchandi vadinaha. This we cannot accept because it is said in all over the Shruti that it's aja. It was ever there, not born in time. All this is said many times in the various Shrutis. So how can they say that it has means Parinamavadam is they are saying that it has all become so many things, or it has given birth to so many things. Jadi, and to give birth to so many multiple world, then it also should be born. An unborn something cannot give birth to a multiple prapancham. It is not possible. And hence says, Ajado Amrdaha. Ajado hi Amrdaha. That is Amrda, that is immortal. Amrdaha there means immortal. It is immortal. The Bhavaha Martyadam Katameshyadi. Then how can it become mortal? Mortal can become immortal sometimes, but immortal cannot become. Hello? What is immortal can never become mortal because it is Swabhava, its nature is immortality. How can it become mortal? It doesn't stand to reason. You cannot accept that. Of the Vadi's argument, Atma Bhava cannot have Janma, and Ajam, Amaram, Atma, how can it become mortal, perishable, changing? The mutable, changeless Atma, immortal Atma, how can you even Ichandi? They want it to have that type of a Parinamam. We have already denied Parinamavadam and Karyakarnavadam. Karyakarnavadam is going to take in elaborately in the Aladashanti Prakaranam. So I did not. It is neither a Karyam nor a Karanam. This much only I said. Karyakarana Vilakshanam Brahma. Then how can they say from that immortal, the immortal has become this mortal world? That is some Vyakyadas say. The immortal has become mortal. Jadim Ichchandi Vadinaha. So he says, how can that be? That is not logical. Because Atma Tattvam is Ajam and Amaram. Amaram means no birth, no death. And how can you... at no time such an argument can be valid. It's never true at any time. Jadasya hi dhruvo mrityu. Smriti says, Jadasya hi dhruvo mrityuho. That means if it is born, then it will also die. Suppose the Paramatma has modified itself to become the world, then Paramatma also will have death. Then you have to accept it is not Amaram. You understand? If you do not accept it is Ajam, then you cannot accept it is Amaram also. Both. Jadasya hi dhruvo mrityuho. According to this law, whatever is born in this world has to die. How can such a thing happen to Atman, which all the Upanishads glorify as ever-existing reality? How can that happen to that? It is not possible, says. Swabhava Vaiparityam. When you are saying something about something which is against its own nature, Swabhava Vaiparityam means Viparita Bhava of one Swabhava cannot be accepted. If you say the fire is hot, it is Swabhava Vaiparityam. You cannot accept it. Similarly, when you say Atman has got Jadi, it is born again, you cannot accept it. It is against its very nature. Egam Advidiyam Brahma, which is ever-existing reality, and now you say it has modified itself into becoming this world of plurality. We cannot accept it. It is against its very nature. Just as you cannot accept a statement, the fire is cold. It is against its svabhava. Or the sugar is salty. We can't accept. Unless our people who mix all these foodstuffs have forgotten and put salt in that sugar. Now, it's against its nature, svabhava, vaibhaditya. Now, the Bhashya says here, 20th verse, no? Some, Shankara writes like this, some expounders of Upanishads, claiming themselves to be knowers of Brahma and talking too much, desire to contend that the unborn reality, the Atma which is by nature immortal, really takes birth and becomes this world. That is what they say. And it necessarily becomes subject to mortality. How can Atma, who is by nature unborn and immortal, be subject to mortality? Atma can never become subject to annihilation, to maranam, because it is amaraha. How do you know? Very many Shruti passages say that. Shruti pramanam. How do I know all about Atman? We know only from Shabda pramanam. No other pramanam is there. And Shruti says so, as it's a complete reversal of the intrinsic nature of Atman, because the intrinsic nature is ajaha, amaraha. How this, it is born and having no effect, to which it gives birth, is all the Veda. The Dvaidins, to establish their stand, they even imagine birth and death for Atman. See, when you take a wrong stand, you will have to use wrong arguments. Is it not? When you are taking the stand of truth, you can always go by the right arguments, the Shastra Paksham. But if you are taking a wrong stand, naturally your arguments will look so funny and against all the logical conclusions of the Shastras. We cannot accept it, they say. And then he again argues, na bhavatyamrudam martyam na martyamamrudam tadha prakriter anyatha bhavo na kadanchit bhavishyati. Na bhavati amrudam martyam. That which is immortal can never, by any stretch of imagination, it cannot become mortal. And na martyam amrudam tadha. And what is perishable will never become amrudam, immortal. What is perishable will not become immortal. So then how will I get immortality? Not this body. What gets immortality? What is born? Immortal. So in you there is something which is unborn and there is something which is born. What is born? Body, mind and intellect are all born. And what is not born? Consciousness. Ghatakasha never... Again the Ghatakasha example. Ghatakasha is never born. So also Atman is never born. Atman is the all-pervading reality in which a upadhi has come, which is your body. And the body dies. Body has birth and death. Because it is born, jivas jadasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu. That which is born will surely die. But that which is not born, no amount of logic can make it die. Nor can that which is born, nothing in the world can stop it from dying also. Opposite also is true. So he says here, na bhavatya amrudam martyam. That martya, that word for human being, is born from the word mridam. Mrida means dying. Is it not? Martyam. Mridasya swabhava is called martya. The man's swabhava is to die. The body will die. Hence it is martyam. You understand? All the words that we have given for the body, deham, shariram, shiryade iti shariram. That which is, that which perishes is shariram. Dakhyade iti deham. That which finally burns is called deham. See the words that are used by the teachers of those days. And here he says, martya swabhavam. It has got the swabhavam of perishing. Is it clear? So, what is martyam will never become amridam. And then, what am I searching for then? That which is amridam in me, it's merging with the total amridam is what we are calling realization. Not this body will go and become immortal. No. Body will never become immortal. Nor the mind or intellect. What will become immortal? Narayana will know. Narayana Gurudev will say like that. Narayana, this Paramatma Chaitanyam in me will merge with the total Chaitanyam. In the deep moments of meditation, that is called samadhi. Okay. Anyatha bhava. Prakriter anyatha bhavo nakadanchit bhavishyati. In prakriti, in nature, the change, what is there in its own nature cannot be changed. Prakriti anyatha bhava. That is, change in the swabhavam of a object or a person cannot happen. Then there is no need, we need not do any sadhana. We are born like this. Why are you getting so angry all the time? That is my nature. Some people say also. It is not why, it's my nature. I can't change it. If you don't change it, you will never get what you are aiming at. That's all. If you are living like a bird or an animal, then what will happen? You will be always getting angry or you will be always getting jealous. Kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, one of those. And you are exhausting your spiritual energies. Do you know that? No, if you know it, you will never get angry. But we do. After getting angry, we think about Vedanta. What to do? We never think about. Every time you have a negative thought, you are losing so much of your spiritual energy, not the physical energy. That is why we should never indulge in negative thinking. See, it is said about Vishwamitra, he fell a prey to Menaka. You know, Menaka was sent by Indra. Indra is a very jealous man. So that is why you should never hope to become Indra. You understand? He is very jealous. He wants other people's wife only. So, he is not a nice man. Whenever I think about Indra, I get only bad vibes. So anyway, when Vishwamitra, for a moment, though great tapasvi he was, for a moment he lost control over his senses and fell, what can I say, trapped by Menaka. And for that one moment of indiscretion, what happened? He had to do so many years, thousands of years of tapas to gain back what he had lost. This is only, the story says like that, but you must understand, every time we indulge in negative thinking, we are losing our spiritual energy. And if you want to know realize the truth, you must conserve all your spiritual energies. If you remember this, why should you get angry and for somebody else's fault, why should I lose my spiritual energy? Just laugh. No, don't say that. I am also a practitioner like you. It can, if you are really serious, it will happen. Okay. But in a moment, I myself do so many wrong things which I don't approve myself. But I forgive myself, is it not? Similarly, you forgive, let it be. If you learn to do, that is what is called sadhana. That in the life that we lead, we should be always aware. When am I getting angry? Whenever you get angry, you are unhappy. Whenever you get jealous, you are unhappy. Desires overpower you, you are unhappy. Why I should become unhappy? I who am Ananda Swarupa, it is meaningless. So the teacher says, Prakriti never changes. The Swabhava never changes. For whom? For the plants and trees and this. But man is not like that. Man has got a capacity to change and own his. That is the difference between human being and animal. You understand? Man is not like that. There is free will for man. Man can overcome his limitations by conscious living. This you must always remember when you are studying the scriptures. Don't say, but I cannot. My mind keeps on running. If you go on saying that, give permission to every mistake you are committing, then what happens? You will never improve. There should be a transformation in you. However small it is, it should be a transformation for the better. Otherwise, you will be only talking Vedanta but not living Vedanta. Is that clear? Don't put the blame. Oh, you are very tough. What Mandukya is so very hard. Your Swabhavastu pravartade. That's what he says. Swabhava will always work. Now when other people make mistakes, just tell yourself, Guna Guneshu Vartande. Bas. You cannot do anything. When a lion pounces on you, you cannot say, no, you become a saintly lion, don't jump on me and all, you can't say. Its Swabhava will work. So also there are so many lions among us also. So they pounce on you. That is his nature or her nature. Forgive them. It's very rare people, saints and sages, who can change their nature itself. Swabhavam itself. Because it is there in... So you are going against your nature, that takes lot more effort. It's like going in a river, the current, against the current. Against the current you have to spend so much energy. But with the current, very easy. So also it's easy to fall, but not easy to climb. It all applies to all of us. So, but don't give up. Even if you fall so many times, again get up and walk. Spiritual sadhaka is different from ordinary people. That you must always remember. This sadhana alone will, against the vasanas which are negative in me, I have to have a constant battle and awareness all the time. then you will see wonderful things happening to you in due course. And it says the dualists are dismissed in these verses by Gaudapada with impeccable logic. He says, moksha is not a journey from Dvaidam to Dvaidam, but Dvaidam to Advaidam. They are making it the opposite journey from Advaidam to Dvaidam. It is wrong. It is a journey. Moksha is not from Advaidam to Dvaidam, but from Dvaidam to Advaidam. Is that clear? So if you are in the Dvaida Bhavana now, in the dualistic thinking, it has to become Advaidic thinking. That is the end of which is only moksha. So not a physical journey, but from ignorance to knowledge. And it's not a journey that I am going to Manasarovar like that. No. It's a journey, not a physical journey, from ignorance in me to knowledge. What is moksha? From ignorance to knowledge, I take a journey. So that these are all very important. It's not a... and if at all, Kritakena Amrutas... next verse I have to do, isn't it? Swabhavena mrudo yasya bhavo gacchati martyadam kritakena mrudastasya katham stasyadi nischalaha. So he says here, what is after all Dvaidam? From your standpoint, what is Dvaidam? Not a mere word.
We see things in different names and forms.
But different names and forms is a reality, no? Empirical reality is there.
It is a empirical reality.
That's what. You must know it from the results it produces. What results it produces? Raga dveshas. It produces either attachment or dvesha, hatred. Either of the two it will produce. Now, why ragam? Because I think that other person is other than me. Is it not? Why ragam? Other person is other than me. And dvesham also because of otherness. Whereas Advaitin finds no otherness. Like Ramana Maharshi used to ask, where is the other? You are talking about other. Who is that other? I don't see any other, he said one day to a student. This eka drishti, that I see only oneness, I see only myself in everybody, then they are not different from me. Because I see that person, this person, every person as different from me, Dvaida Bhava, that is called Dvaida Bhava. I cannot tolerate them. I get angry with them. I get all the problems of the samsara is because of that Dvaida Buddhi. Is it not? I cannot even, sometimes if your son or daughter do not please you by their behavior, then you say, I disown you. How can you disown? You are given birth to that child. How can you disown? But we do say, Dvaida Buddhi. But suppose you think, that is, he is myself, which is not difficult to think about the child. He is the flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood and all. Poetry says. If you can think like that, after all, it is my child. And I can tolerate so many imperfections in my child because I find an identity with the child. If not, don't come Let not your shadow fall on my door. Like that we tell them. Okay? Raga and Dvesha and all comes because of this Dvaita Buddhi. Dvaita Buddhi you give up. And learn to see oneness more and more. The more oneness you see around you, the more happy you become. For no reason you are happy. Not because somebody is giving you some lot of money to make you happy. Nothing of the sort. You are happy, becomes your very nature, and that is the nature of Atman, the self. Anandoham. Anandoha vai saha. Upanishad says, it is Ananda Swarupa. So if you are not Ananda, then nobody is responsible. But you yourself. How did you achieve these impossible things? By the Dvaita Buddhi. Then I have Kamam, Krodham, Lobham, Moham, everything will come. Ajnana Samdadi. All the children of Ajnanam will come to you. Understand? Don't have any Dvaita Buddhi in you. And he says, Gacchadi Martyadam, Swabhavena Amrita. By its very nature, Atman is Amritam, immortal. Not that it is an immortality which is attained by effort. No. It is its own nature. You don't have to give a tiger its nature. It is born with it. It did not attain it by sadhana. That tiger knows when to attack somebody and eat it also. But it doesn't eat all the time. It has got a rule, unlike human beings. It has got certain... the nature has... That is why in nature, Swabhava will work. And so in nature, what is our nature? This you must understand. The previous verse you must understand correctly. What is our real Swabhava? What is my Swarupa? Sachidananda. You understand? And now you want to make the Sachidananda into a dualistic perception. Because you are a Dvaitin. That is what he says. Swabhava, by nature. It is Amritaha, Esya Bhavo, Gacchadi Martyadam. It cannot come to that dualistic perception at all. And if at all that Amrtatvam, that immortality is achieved by effort on your part. Kritakam means artificially produced. Whatever is produced, whatever is a product, has a birth and death. Suppose the Amrtatvam that you have is produced by your sadhana, by your that, by your this, that also will die. So what are you trying to tell us? Don't do any sadhana. Yes. Do sadhana until you realize there is no need for sadhana. Because all the time I am that only. Are you able to find the difference there? When you make an effort, you are thinking that the immortality is something to be gained, like an object. Suppose I want I'm young boy, I want to get married. Then he goes in search of the proper girl. So he had gone to 100 houses and said that girl nose is like this girl's ear is like that, and he never got married at all. Okay. There is effort involved in gaining something in this world. Whatever, a job I want to get, I have to put effort. I have to study. Is it not? All types of things are there. Whereas, to be yourself, what effort you have to put? Nothing. It is not something praptavyam. Praptavyam means to be gained, but it is something to be jnadavyam. Jnadavyam? Known. I have to know it. What have I to know? There is no need for any sadhana. Nityobalabdhi surupoham atma. I am ever atma alone, nothing else. Even in my ignorant days also I am atma only. Can you say that in my ignorant days I was something else? Without atma you have no existence. You remember the word in Kaivalya Upanishad, you know? Tvameva tat, tadeva tvam. Tvameva tad, tatvameva tvameva tat. Why should he say 2 times the same thing? He's not saying 2 times. Tvameva tad. Because if you have existence, it is because of that. And tadevatam, when he says, that also cannot have infinity if you are excluded from it. You understand? You also should be included in that. Otherwise, its infinity will be lost. In fact, there is total identity. How beautifully the Upanishad master puts it, you see. Meditate on this. Okay, so he says, akritakam, that not artificially produced. All the artificially produced amrutam. When you go to the bar, you feel you are in, you have attained amrutam. But what happened next day? Next day one hangover will be there and a headache. Kritakam. Kritakam means artificially gained, produced. Amritastasya katham stasya nischala. How can that immortality be changeless, immutable? It's a changing amrita. If you think it is amrita, that is only, it is like a dream. As soon as you wake up, the dream sukham is gone, is it not? So as soon as you come out of that intoxication of the drink, the sukham is gone. That sukham. What is that sukham of amritam? Immortality. Is I ever happy? For why are you happy? That is my swabhava. You understand? When a Mahatma you ask, why are you always smiling, Swami? Because it is my nature. I am of the nature of Ananda Swarupaya. I cannot but be happy. Helpless, Gurudev says, helplessly happy. You understand? Helplessly happy means what? Even if I want to be unhappy, I can't. That is realization. Helplessly unhappy. Helplessly loving everybody. Why? Because they are all me only. But Jesus was put on the cross and he says, "O Lord, forgive them for they know not what they are doing." Can you imagine the pain of that crucifixion? And even at that highest painful experience, he sees the oneness. They know not what they are doing. So it is your swabhava. How are you convinced it is your swabhava? What is your swabhava? Chidananda Rupaham. Nothing else. And if I am finding something else, I am unhappy, I am a samsari, all superimpositions on Nitya Nirmala Atma. There are thoughts which you are superimposed on the Atman. And how do I remove these stupid thoughts which had become like a wall around me? By Guru Upasati, by going to the teacher, by the study of the scriptures, by living a divine life. First it is sadhana, because you practice loving everybody, you practice forgiving people, etc., etc., etc. It is an effort. Then it becomes your second nature. Slowly it becomes your second nature. When it does so, you are close to the truth. Your vasanas become less and less, and you are immersed in yourself. Okay, I don't know why I got into all this. Krudakena amrudastasya katham sthasya nischala. You cannot. Nitya moksham, dualists won't have. Those who see nanatvam, they are only in the world of samsara. Alpaha, Chandogya Upanishad says. Whoever sees manyness, they are all alpa. Maya is the truth for the worldly man. Is it not? What is the difference between worldly man and spiritual man? Maya is a truth for them, but Maya is only a coming and going thing for the spiritual person says, for the logical thinker, Maya is anirvachaniya. I don't know when I wrote this here, but to the yogi who had attained that oneness with the Paramatma, for him, Maya is tucha. Tucha means insignificant. He does not get involved in Maya's play. So it's tucha, like that is. But Maya is very real to you and me. Because we are in the samsaric world. Maya is very real. Now he says here in the Shankara says in the Bhashya, na bhava, which is the verse 21, na? 22. Swabhavena amrudo yasya bhavo gacchadi martyadam kritakena amrudastasya kadham stasyadi nischala. And Bhashya says, in the case of a disputant, where an entity which is by its inherent nature immortal becomes mortal, that is, he is truly and really born in that disputant's case. That disputant means objector. His proposition that before creation that entity was by its inherent nature immortal and changeless is not valid and cannot stand scrutiny. How then can an entity which is really born on merging into Brahma become inherently immortal and changeless? So, you are saying that which has the Martya Swabhava will become immortal. You are saying that which is the immortal can become immortal. But how can the mortal then become immortal? Your arguments are all topsy-turvy. We cannot accept it, he says, and changeless. In the case of an entity which is born and then becomes immortal, how can that immortal nature remain steady? How can that be permanent? How can that be nityam? It can never remain changeless. Thus, in the case of those disputants who believe that Atma is born into Jiva, there can be no entity which is unborn and changeless. And they do not accept anything is unborn. They have got a multiplicity of karanam and multiplicity of karyam also. Their karya and karana itself is questionable. We cannot accept. Not very convincing is the argument of the Dvaitins. Continuing, he says, Bhutato bhutato vapi Srijyamane samashruti Nishchidam yukti yuktam cha Yettad bhavati netarat Srijyado bhutado abhutado vapi srijyamane samashruti. In whether the bhutada means whether it was come by parinamavada, abhudada, it's only an appearance, whether it is real or unreal. Vapi srijyamane samaya. In the srishti for the Vedantin is not real. You may call it a real srishti, you may call it an unreal srishti, but both srishti itself is unreal to the Vedantin. The what you say, the discussion about srishti itself is pointless. It will be like discussing that snake you saw on the rope. Where is the necessity? Because there is no snake at all. But you are going on asking, who created it? How did the snake come there? All these questions are invalid questions because there is no snake. So also you are saying Srishtivadas, 82 Srishtivadas in the Upanishad. I said, about what you are wasting your time? Because there is no Srishti yet. We have seen all this yesterday. Why there is no Srishti? Nothing can be born out of Brahman. So there is nothing. There is no Karya and Karana. There is no Karana. Without Karana there cannot be a Karya. Is it not? Brahma is not a Karana at all. Though we keep on calling him Jagat Karanam, but really speaking, he is no Karanam nor Karyam. Then I am seeing a Karyam. Now, can you say the rope is the Karanam for the snake? Rope didn't do anything to become the Karanam. Then the snake you are seeing is the Karyam of what? Of our own avidya. Because I did not know, non-apprehension of the snake had led to non-apprehension of the rope has led to the misapprehension of the rope. If this example is truly understood, there is nothing more to explain. Because of the non-apprehension of the Atman, the self, what do? You superimpose a whole multiple world of plurality on that Atman. There was neither the Karyam that you are talking about is only imaginary. Mrisha or Mithya. It's a Mithya Karyam. For a Mithya Karyam, what is the Karanam? Mithya Karanam only. Karanam also is Mithya. Karyam also is Mithya. Then where is Karya Karana Bhava? Gaudapada is bent upon beating this idea from your head. Beating it out, as it were. Karya Karana Bhavam he never accepts. He says Karya Karana Bhavam is not there. He is neither Karana nor a Karya. In fact, there is only one. And what is that? Brahman. If you are seeing it as Karana, that is your problem. If you are seeing it as Karya, it is your problem. Bas. How are you seeing? By? What do you call that? Non-apprehension plus misapprehension. Maya. Mayaya vidyate. Yesterday we read. Mayaya vidyate. So there are only two things now. A Maya which also anirvajaniya, we don't know what it is. Sama, ya ma, sa Maya. That which is not there is called Maya. Anyway, so what? Finally, where do you end up? There is only one thing. And what is that? Brahman. So while you saw the snake also, rope alone was there, is it not? While you saw the world of plurality also, what is there? Only Brahman. Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva, Napara. There is nothing. Then why we are so many things you create and go on going round and round that and arguing. Pages and pages are written on all these misconceptions. All the books are only misconceptions of this basic truth. So, which one? 20? The page also keeps on. Namaste Amritam Tada Prakrite Swabhava Viruddham itis Swabhavena Amrudo Yasya Bhavo Gacchadi Martyadam Kritagena Amrutastasya Katham Stasyadi Nischala. How can you call it Nischala Brahma? How can you call it immutable, changeless? That which is born in time, that which is artificially produced, it is not a product. We have seen already, it is not a product. So, immortality is not a goal. In this case, immortality is not your goal, you are immortal. That means what? That is a fact. Immortality, I have to attain immortality. Now I am a Martya. I have to become immortal. This is what people, all again misconception. All times you are immortal. Now, are you able to understand that wonderful verse that Gaudapada has said? Na nirodhaha, na utpatti, na bandho, na mokshaha, na bandho, na sadhagaha. Not a there is no bondage. There is no moksha because already at every time you are muktaha. Nityobalabdhi, always attained. This moksha is yours from the day that Paramatma Chaitanyam has entered your body. From that time till now you are immortal only. Now don't get... I am reading it to you because I enjoy reading that logic. But otherwise that is not... The bottom line is enough for all of us. What is that? All that I say is mirum. Only imagination, all this cage. I am in a cage. Okay? Of BMI, PFT, OET. Now somehow I have to get out of it because no bird likes to sit in a cage. I want to get out. And how do I get out? Then I start thinking whether this cage is real. And you find it is not real. You have gone round that pillar as a child. You have taken your skipping rope and gone playing like that, and you have tied yourself. And then he says, I am bound. Please release me. What is that to release? You come the opposite direction. Ramana Maharshi used to say, go the way you have, go back the way you have come. Explaining this. And then when it is over, I am always free. I myself have bound myself, and then I say, I am bound. What can we do with such people? See, listening to the scripture, you should be able to, if you are, what can I say? If you have become ripe, then what will happen? Shravana, Samaya itself you will become realized. But since we are not Pakwa, the ripeness has not come. So again and again you have to listen, and until at last one day it just flashes like a lightning in your mind. Like Kenopanishad says, that is why Shravana is very, very important. I read all the books. Doesn't come from the books. It comes from your own understanding. At the time of Sanyasya Shravanam Kuryat. That is what Shastra says. Sanyasya. Sanyasya means my individuality I have surrendered and then listened to the teacher. Then only it will happen. Suddenly you gain a window peep into that great state we call realization. Okay. So he says Swabhava Kritakena Jagat Utpatti Nisheda by Yukti is over with this. Jagat Utpatti is only a mirage. There is no Jagat. Then what I am saying? You see so many things. In the dream also you saw so many. A dream, whole dream world you saw. Is it real? No. And now I am seeing a world. Is it real? I don't want to see your face. Because I know you will say always yes. Here, Gaudapada has given you so many points to tell you that the world that you see is also like a dream, not real. Jagat Utpatti Nishedham. And he didn't just tell you, I am telling you, so you accept. Not like that. By proper logic, he had established the fact that the world that I see around me cannot have a karanam, it is not a karyam, it is only a vivartam, it is only a appearance. But I am seeing, we are seeing dream also, where from it came? We don't know. Similarly. First itself in the Vaidadhya Prakarana he had established that the dream world and the waking world are not two. They have got the same samyada. The identity is there. It is the same. What happens in the dream only is happening in the waking world. But we think waking world is real, dream world is unreal. Which he has squashed out the arguments in the first Vaidadhya Prakarana and the second Prakarana. Now he is establishing the Advaita on its own firm grounds. Actually, it is Gaudapada who had given the standing for the Advaita Darshana that it enjoys today, and Shankara had only had so much reverence and respect for Gaudapada Acharya that he continued the same arguments in all his Bhashyas. He had accepted it in toto, as it were. And because of that, Gaudapada is really the father of Advaita Vedanta, who had established Advaita Vedanta on its legs, as it were. Otherwise, in those days of Buddhism and Jainism and all, Advaita would have gone out of the shores of India, which never happened. On the other hand, we drove them all out. We didn't drive them out. They couldn't stand in the heat of these arguments and they left the shores of India and went to Far East. Okay. Kritakena amritastasya. Now I don't take another one. too much. Time is up. Kritagena amrutastasya kadam stasyati nischala. Therefore, an artificially made moksha is neither nischala nor true.
Chronologically speaking, was Buddha there earlier or
Gaudapada.
Gautama?
We must think that Gaudapada was born after Buddha. Because by the time Gaudapada came, Buddhism was already has become weak. Because their arguments were all from the dualistic standpoint and it couldn't stand the arguments given out by the Advaitins. But some people in the historians say Gaudapada was the the teacher's teacher, Paramaguru of Shankara. But there are other scholars who think Gaudapada's time must have been still farther. It's in the Guru Shishya Parambara, in that Gaudapada Padiya Parambara, Govindapada Acharya was born and Shankara was his student, like that. But that in that Guru Shishya Parambara, the arguments that had been given by Gaudapada has been taken up by Shankara. And the Bhashya that he had written for Gaudapada's text, this Karigas, is a indication that he had great regard for this teacher. Because who will write, why should Shankara write a Bhashya for the Karigas? Kariga itself is a explanation of the Upanishad. Instead, he had written for the Upanishad as well as the Kariga. In other words, Shankara holds the Kariga of Gaudapada in equal status of the Upanishad. This is what T.P. Mahadevan said, was a great scholar and very great scholar he was. He says in his book Gaudapada Kariga, he says Gaudapada's Karigas were regarded equivalent to the Mandukya Upanishad. Because this type of logic you cannot find in any other Upanishad or in any other text. And impeccable logic. Gaudapada was not merely a teacher, a great scholar, but he was also a great logician. He had gone to the Buddhists and studied so much of Buddhist logic only to negate them, like the Padris do nowadays, They learn Gita, Upanishad in their seminaries. So I asked them, why you are studying this? No, not just in. I know why. Because with our own arguments they want to defeat us. But our stand is on truth. How can they cannot defeat, nobody can defeat. Truth cannot be defeated, untruth can be defeated. And so hence Advaita had survived, because what it talks is a fact, not a imagination. Now I have to do the next, is it not? No. What about this? Nischidam yukti yuktam jayatad bhavadi netaram. So that which is supported by the Shruti declarations and corroborated by it. Suppose the Shruti says something which is not logical, which cannot be established by reasoning, then here he says you have to take there you have to take reasoning as you understand. Suppose Shruti says 10 times that fire is cold. Can we accept it? No, because it is against our anubhava. You understand? So it is not logical. And hence we won't accept it. So there are two types of in Shruti passages. There is the Gauna Shruti and the Prabala Shruti. Prabala means Mukhya Shruti and Gauna means Avara, secondary. So when there is a secondary Shruti, many of the Karmakanda passages are Gauna Shruti. In the Jnanakanda only Prabala Shruti is there. So Shruti combined with logic and combined with the people's experience is the way Shrutya, Yuktya, Anubhutya. Shruti, Yukti, Anubhuti. Three, and on three grounds Gaudapada is talking here, hence he is almost invincible by anybody. Okay, we'll continue next class. Purnamata Purnamidam Purnat